Boruto has just used the karma, and coming from Momoshiki himself, he is free to use the karma and everything else. So what exactly is that everything else? This is a clue from Ikemoto that what we will be seeing next will be groundbreaking. This is what we will be discussing in this video, a realistic arsenal of Momoshiki that we could see Boruto use in the coming chapters, but also the secret Byakugan ability that Momoshiki's Byakugan holds. And since I can't hold any secrets, let's just start off the video by discussing just that. The secret ability that we can see from Boruto's Byakugan, coming from Momoshiki himself. First of all, we all know the basic Byakugan abilities. But did you know that every time we have seen an Otsutsuki use the Byakugan, they have a unique ability that goes way beyond the Byakugan's normal abilities. Momoshiki's Byakugan, for example, is quite unique, as it grants the user the power to see the future. We have seen this being used twice. Once when Momoshiki used the ability to see Boruto's future, where he saw that Boruto would end up losing everything, and the other time was by Boruto himself, where he saw the aftermath of omnipotence being casted by Ida, which led to everyone searching for Boruto, including Mitsuki. This ability is clearly connected to the Byakugan, as when Boruto first used this future sight ability, we saw that the Byakugan was active. In addition, when Momoshiki used it on Boruto himself, the Byakugan's veins were also shown, and it was quite visible that he was going into Boruto himself and checking out his future. And Ikemoto explains just how this ability works, and its limitations that give us a clue of the application of Boruto when he ends up using this ability for himself again in the time skip. As in an interview, he was asked whether Boruto seeing the future in chapter 75 was connected to Kashinkoji's ability, and he says this: that was actually due to Momoshiki, who has the ability to see pieces of the future surrounding himself. It does reminisce prescience in a way, but it is not an established senjutsu, and only has portions of prescience functionality. This confirms that yes, indeed, this is an ability of Momoshiki, which Boruto should then have access to through the karma and the Byakugan. So how exactly will it work for Boruto? I believe that this Byakugan ability to see the future will either be passive, just like we saw in chapter 75, or either he will use it consciously like Momoshiki, which allowed him to see a future that involved himself. This was an important distinction that Ikemoto made with Momoshiki's ability. It can allow him to see pieces of the future surrounding himself, while with Kashinkoji, he can see all possible futures. This would mean and also explain why Momoshiki doesn't necessarily see the future of Sasuke and other characters that were involved, because their future apart from this fight didn't really revolve around them at all. But Boruto, he was capable of seeing Boruto's future because it had something to do with Momoshiki himself. This is clearly indicated in chapter 78, which led directly to omnipotence being cast, as who is the one who ends up freeing Kawaki, which then leads to Kawaki running away and meeting with Ida, which ultimately ends up leading to omnipotence being casted. That person is Momoshiki. And this is why Momoshiki saw Boruto's future, as it directly involved himself. As not only did he go on to give Boruto the karma, but he also freed Kawaki, which led to omnipotence. This perfectly matches what Ikemoto said, that he can only see the future that involves himself. So what exactly does this mean for Boruto now? I believe that we will see Boruto in this arc see the future, a future that could be related to Himawari, Sarada, or any other character in the series. But what is going to be quite important is that it is going to be one that surrounds himself, and would go alongside the theme of whether one could really change the future, as it is what Boruto and Kashinkoji are trying to do. We have already seen the instances of the future being changed, but can they really prevent the worst future from taking place? And this would also remove the cherry-picked information that Kashinkoji gives Boruto access to, as multiple times we have seen Kashinkoji not give Boruto proper information so that he could basically manipulate Boruto's actions to go alongside what he believes to be the best move to change the future. Is he making the best decisions at all time? Kashinkoji said before that they won't truly know if it was the right decision until they see the future change. But with Boruto utilizing this ability for himself, we could then end up seeing Boruto see the future for himself, and one that directly involves himself, as that's a key component of Momoshiki's ability that will influence Boruto's own personal decision making, as this could be the very reason why Kashinkoji wanted to know whether Boruto ended up making a deal with Momoshiki, as it would directly lead to a future where we have two people who can see the future, and thus the future that Kashinkoji wants to create involves too many unpredictable factors that will make it harder for Kashinkoji to predict said future. That's the real component that we will get to see when Boruto finally uses this ability again, but this time in the time skip. Now when it comes to the normal Byakugan abilities themselves, there are multiple ways in which I could see Boruto utilize them. First of all, we have already seen in this battle so far that Boruto having greater vision due to the simple fact that we have abilities from the Byakugan that allow somebody to have a 360-degree field of vision and also see at bare minimum, as Hinata was capable of seeing 20 kilometers in range of vision, Boruto could see a lot more, and with somebody who's going to fight multiple different people at a time because of Momoshiki's ability, it is going to be quite useful in allowing Boruto not to be caught off guard and to have a wider field of vision and thus a wider field of influence. Another ability that we could see Boruto use is the same one that Neji was using when he fought versus Naruto, that allowed him to see the differences in the clones. This was showcased in that fight, so if Boruto is capable of using this ability, he will be able to notice the difference between the clones and the real person. However, there could be a few problems with this line of thinking. One being that the clones may have the same amount of chakra due to the fact that their powers are not dropping, so Boruto won't necessarily be able to see the difference in the clones. And second, the fact that Kashinkoji implies that to defeat Momoshiki, you have to destroy all the clones. So perhaps there is no real Momoshiki, and all of them would technically be the real body of Momoshiki, but simply divided in intelligence. So there would be no difference between the real Momoshiki and the clones. But these Byakugan abilities that I have explained are the ones that I believe to be the most useful that Boruto will definitely have to use against the Momoshiki clones, and when it comes to future battles in general, they are definitely going to be needed. And if you can think of any other ability that would be useful that Boruto would have using the Byakugan, definitely let me know in the comment section below. And if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to subscribe and like the video. However, everyone is hyped so far that Boruto used the Karma and the Byakugan, but what we truly want to see is the Rinnegan and the rest of Momoshiki's arsenal, as that is what we got to see with Kawaki, so we should definitely be able to see Boruto use the same abilities. And I believe that that is exactly what Ikemoto is hinting towards when Momoshiki says everything else. But let's be realistic, we are in Konoha right now, so it doesn't make sense for Boruto to use all of Momoshiki's abilities, as it would cause a lot of trouble for the village. It would make it a lot harder for Boruto to control his area of effect. Thus, things like summonings, I don't really see Boruto utilizing these abilities as of right now. But there are two abilities that I believe really make the most sense for Boruto to use. The first one lies in the Rinnegan, and this is what we really want to see. We have all seen the signs, Boruto having the gloves, or at least having similar gloves to Momoshiki, and Ikemoto can't keep edging us, as we need to see it at this point. However, I don't believe that it would happen in the way that most people think, because we have already seen one reason that Boruto has started to use the Karma, and that was to absorb the fire that was caused by one of the clones, as they got dumber due to multiplying and almost ended up catching a building on fire. So it doesn't make much sense if Boruto uses the Rinnegan to double the power of their attacks and shoot it back at them, because it would just end up causing more damage to the village. So what I believe is likely to happen when Boruto ends up using Momoshiki's Rinnegan ability is, instead of simply absorbing it and firing it back with double the power, I believe that he could make chakra pills out of it and eat it for himself. We know that Momoshiki can take chakra and turn it into pills. We saw him do it to Beast Chakra after defeating him. And don't just say it's because it's a Tell Beast, as we know that Tell Beasts are simply an amalgamation of chakra. And I already know another counter argument that a lot of people would say, Boruto isn't a cheater, he wouldn't do this. But the whole point of the first arc with Momoshiki and the arc that came after that wasn't to say that using technology is bad. It's just that relying on technology to cover up your lack of training is ultimately the wrong approach. It is about how you use it and not whether it is good or bad. Boruto using it to get stronger would make a lot of sense in this arc. He literally made a deal with the devil to be able to defeat Jiraiya. This is just something that Boruto has to do. And also in the Japanese text for this cover, we do end up seeing that Boruto is referred to as a demonic god, saying racing across the battlefield, become a demonic god. By using such an ability, Boruto would fit this aesthetic of a demonic god. We see this in Boruto's appearance when he is using the karma. He almost seems like a bad guy, and if you show this panel of Boruto to somebody who has never seen the Boruto series before, they would probably think that Boruto is a villain. But this is all for the greater good of the future. So thus, Boruto making himself stronger at this point in the series by absorbing their abilities and creating chakra pills out of them, we could then see Boruto slowly become stronger to lead up to the fight versus Jiraiya, as I still don't believe that they are strong enough to take him down. The second ability that I could see being quite useful for Boruto to use in this battle, it would be Kinshiki's ability to manipulate chakra for his swordsmanship. We could see Boruto at least implement this chakra into his sword, giving his sword a fiery look, something red like we have seen Kinshiki use in the past. In addition, he could use it to make his sword longer and have a wider radius of influence. One of the main parts of this battle is gathering all of the Momoshi clones in one area and killing them in one blow. We have already seen Boruto with just one slice be able to kill multiple Senju at once. Now imagine with Kinshiki's chakra manipulation, the scale of this attack. And some people might say that Kinshiki isn't in Boruto, but we know that Boruto got the karma after Kinshiki was absorbed. And the only reason why Momoshiki's soul doesn't look like Kinshiki or fused Momoshiki at that is because his soul didn't change, it was only his body. So yes, Boruto should have access to Kinshiki's chakra manipulation. And we do know that he would then have the experience of Momoshiki and Kinshiki when he ends up tapping to True Essence Karma. So he could end up creating any type of sword he likes, any type of axe, any type of weaponry that he desires. And by elongating his sword, which I believe is a viable method for Boruto to do, he could kill all of the clones at once if they are gathered in one place. But also, we have to keep in mind that all of this could end up reacting to the secret material that is in Boruto's sword. Don't let this chapter with the karma and the Byakugan distract you from the fact that Boruto has a hidden ability that he is yet to use. What exactly is this secret material that could end up reacting with Boruto? If you want to find out what that may be, watch this video right here.